People often try to insult me by calling me daddy's money. But this only reminds me that I have won the lottery. It's time for a rich kid confession. I'm 26 years old and daddy still pays most of my bills. When people find out that I can call my dad and ask him for a new car, money, or a much-needed vacation, they are trying to shame me. But the thing is, I've never been ashamed of being a rich kid. So in today's lesson, we will cover what it's truly like to be a rich kid, what's your allowance, and why parents don't stop giving you money even once you get the job. First things first, I know that struggling has been so romanticized, and I even know why. The wealth gap is growing rapidly, and only 10% of the population has a luxury to actually live, while the rest are trying to survive. So of course, in order to cope with the system, people started shaming those who actually have an opportunity to live. And I don't blame them. I think I would be doing exactly the same thing. But let me ask you something. If you had parents who were willing to support you financially and emotionally, wouldn't you take this opportunity? I think you very much would. But you're telling me right now, I would, but once I go to college or once I get a job, I would become totally independent. Be for fucking real. No, you wouldn't. And let me explain why. I'm gonna refer to my own story. So just so you understand better, I'm new money. What that means is that my parents are self-made and I'm just the second generation. I'm the youngest of three, so when I was born, my parents were already in their 30s and they were doing pretty well. But my parents never really did anything lavish and they never cared about buying something fancy for themselves until they sent my sisters and I to private schools. And in order to make sure that we integrate successfully into that society, they wanted to make sure that we have all of the things which make us a part of that society. So while my dad was driving the most common car, he made sure that my sisters and I are driving in Range Rovers and Mercedes and Rolls Royce with the bodyguards. Not because he thought that it's appropriate, but because that's what everybody was doing at that school. And he didn't want me to feel like an outsider. So as I was going into that school, I was listening to the conversation of all of those rich kids. And sometimes they would come back from some vacation and they would be telling me, by the way, have you been to that resort? And I was like, no, I've never heard of it. But I understood that this is a place where a lot of rich people are going. Then I would come home and I would ask my parents, have you heard of this place? And they were like, yeah, what about it? I'm like, rich people go there. Aren't you guys rich people? Let's go there. And my parents told me, all right, let's go. So what was happening is that my parents and I were experiencing luxury things for the first time together. It was actually pretty awesome because I got to witness how my parents were seeing those things for the first time as well. But here's the difference. My parents were only experiencing this ever since they were 30. But for me, it was the thing which I was used to ever since I was a child. And one of the reasons why my parents wanted me to experience this lifestyle is because they wanted me to be comfortable in that society. So that's why your statement that you would stop taking money when you are 25 once you get a job is so not true, because all of your other friends still have the same opportunities and you don't want to be an outsider. Your parents have been working so hard in order to make sure that you are part of that friend group. Just for what? Just so you lose it because you're trying to be independent? No. Independence is not about that. And let me explain something. 5 years in a row, I have been inviting my friends for my birthday to the Hamptons. What does it mean? You pay for everybody. You pay for the house, you pay for them to come there, but you're doing this not because you just love your friends. If you're watching, guys, I love you so much. But it's also because they give you the gifts, which are even more expensive than this. But then it goes further than that. Your friends' parents and your parents might need favors from one another. That's why parents wouldn't take away your allowance, because it would only damage them themselves as well. So why would you do that? My parents always told me that the reason why they have been working so hard is so my sisters and I truly don't have to. The biggest luxury and the biggest privilege of being a rich kid is not what you see on social media. It's not about just flying on private jets or buying whatever you want. Of course, it's very nice and I really love it. But the biggest privileges are in different things. When you're a rich kid, you have the biggest luxury of all. You're the owner of your own time. You can do the things which you truly enjoy. You're not stuck at the job which you hate, but you have so many bills which you have to pay. That's why you can't afford to live. Imagine you have this high-paying job in finance, but you dream of being an artist. You simply cannot do that because you have a mortgage and student loan, and now you have kids and pets. It's impossible to do that. But in my case, I was working in IT for 5 years, and the moment I got my green card, I was able to leave. Not because I have savings, but because I have an opportunity to start something on my own and fail. Imagine if everybody were doing the things which they truly wanted to. Imagine if it wouldn't be such a capitalist society. And it's funny for me to say capitalist society because I'm the product of capitalism. I'm enjoying all of the things which capitalism gave to me. But I admit that this is such a failed system. And it's failing so many of us. That's why when you hate rich kids, I totally understand you. But I also want to explain something. If I had an opportunity to do the same things for my kids, I totally would. And I hope that you have an opportunity to do the same things for your kids. Because if you become financially so successful, I hope you wouldn't withhold opportunities from your children. I hope you would give them a chance to try many different things, to give them a chance to fail, because that's what life is about. It's about experiencing things. And it's so fucked up that so little of us actually get to experience life because we're absolutely stuck in this rat race. So am I ashamed of being a rich kid? Absolutely fucking not. I'm just grateful. But I'm saddened that so little people actually get to experience this lifestyle. I'm not trying to convince you that I'm a socialist, and I'm not a champagne socialist either. I'm just trying to tell you a different perspective. And now, let's take the questions from the students. I've always wanted to know this about rich kids. Do your parents ever ask you about your spendings? So first of all, keep in mind that I'm only telling my story and I don't want to generalize everybody. In my case, my parents didn't, and this is definitely one thing I want to do with my kids different. So when I have kids, I want to make sure that they have budget which they follow. But when I was going to university, my parents just gave me an unlimited credit card and I was using it. So they could check how much I was spending, but we never really had conversations about it. One time though, I really went overboard and I had a call from my mom and shit, I got really scared for my life. Apart from that, they don't really ask me. Also, guess how much I spent this time when my mom had to call me? Next question. I actually can't. I'm trying to learn. Then stop accepting money from your parents and literally live like every ordinary people, aka no one normal. Okay, so I guess what you're referring I'm trying to learn is because I had a video where I was saying that I am trying to learn to be better with my spending habits, and you told me that I have to stop taking money from my parents and live like ordinary people. The thing is, my parents didn't work so hard in order for me to live like an ordinary person. And let's make it clear. I don't think if you work hard, it's gonna guarantee that you're gonna be rich. I know that there are so many people who work way harder than my parents and they didn't get to that level. My dad always told me that the reason why they got to the level where they are is because, yes, they worked hard, but it's a lot of luck. But my parents wouldn't want me to stop taking money from them, so why should I? Because you are telling me to? Sorry. Privilege or not, coming from a wealthy family, you should already have your shit together without expecting any financial support from your parents. I actually think I do have my shit together, but I feel like I have my shit together regarding the circumstances. So I feel like I had a very good and high-paying job. If I was used to a different lifestyle, I think I would live a pretty good life. One thing I want to make clear, I don't expect financial support from my parents. They just do it to me. And in the next video, I will also tell you about my trust fund. So it works differently. When I was in university, I was getting monthly allowance, but now I'm just using parts of my trust fund. So is it still help from parents? 1000%. But once again, because I have access to it, why wouldn't I use it? Similar to a previous question, so let's try one more. It's crazy because 10K would literally change my entire life, while for you it's normal. What do you even buy with that kind of money? Yeah, I totally agree that $10,000 is literally life-changing. And it was life-changing for me in many circumstances as well. What do I buy? You'd be surprised. You actually don't need to buy that many things in order to spend $10,000. So in my case, I only spent $5,000 on my rent. Then I pay another $1,000 for my car insurance, $450 for parking, and then groceries in Boston every month go around $1,000. And then I also really like buying gifts for my family. So 10,000K fly really fast, but I agree, it's very life-changing. But it's not hard to spend them. I'm sure if I would give you 10K and it wouldn't be an emergency situation and you had an opportunity just to treat yourself, you buy way less things for 10K than you expect. Inflation and shit. Alright students, thank you for listening. And as always, do whatever you want with this information.